I'm here in the beautiful neighborhood of Altadena for a quick hike up to the grave of Owen Brown. Do you think they have enough locks on this gate? We'll just walk in over here. The trail starts as a paved fire road, but it quickly becomes a single-track dirt trail. Now, if you're like me, you might be saying, who the heck was Owen Brown? Well, he was the son of John Brown. Again, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, yeah, still not ringing any bells. John Brown was a noted abolitionist in the mid-1800s. He led a raid on Harper's Ferry in order to free slaves and bring attention to the issue of slavery. His raid on Harper's Ferry was sort of a prelude to the Civil War. Here's some trivia for you. When Brown was preparing the raid, he invited Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman to join him. Tubman was sick and couldn't make it, I think for the betterment of the Underground Railroad. Frederick Douglass, however, said, this is a suicide mission, to which Brown replied, there are moments when men can do more dead than alive. In 1859, John Brown led a group of 21 men and raided Harper's Ferry. The raid lasted for 2 days, and he was ultimately defeated by then Colonel Robert E. Lee. Many of the raiders were killed, but John Brown was captured alive and then executed. Now here's another piece of trivia for you. There weren't a lot of people invited to the execution of John Brown. But one of the people who was there was John Wilkes Booth. Owen escaped capture, and he remained on the run during the entirety of the Civil War, but he continued to try to help with the abolitionist effort. As you walk up the trail, you are going to come to a T intersection that has a couple of placards. This one talks about Owen Brown, and the sign over here that tells you which way to go. And the other placard over here talks about how El Prieto Canyon, which is where this hike is located, was named. But that's a story for a different day. Let's continue on up to Owen Brown's gravesite. After the Civil War, Owen moved here to Altadena, where he homesteaded and lived the rest of his life. When he died in 1889, there were 2,000 people who attended his funeral in honor of all of his work as an abolitionist. This last part of the trail is a narrow zigzagging loop up to Little Round Top, which was named after the heroic Battle of Gettysburg. His grave was originally marked with a simple wooden marker, but it was replaced 9 years later with a granite marker to honor him and all of his work on behalf of freeing slaves. This is not the original marker. It was stolen. I don't know how many times it's been replaced, but this is the current marker to commemorate his grave here on Little Round Top in Altadena. The view up here is pretty incredible, except for the power lines over here. But if you live and hike in California, you kind of get used to seeing those power lines everywhere. The hike up here is only about 15 minutes. It's got its steep parts, but it's not too bad. It's a single track dirt trail, and pretty easy to get up here. They have some benches up here that you can sit and just enjoy the scenery and appreciate this little bit of Civil War history. They say there are two deaths that bookend the Civil War. John Brown's was the first, and Abraham Lincoln's was the last. I'll be honest, this is a little bit inspiring for me. The Civil War has always just been a story in the history books, but here, this is a little piece of American history right here in California. Find your adventure. Thank you for watching.